So, okay, if you're the only one here so far, we can give it a couple more minutes to see where they are.
Menard, Town Planner Adam Menard.
Yep.
Staff Assistant Rachel Pressey. Present. Director Darlene Coyle.
Here.
Building Commissioner Caleb Moody.
He's not here tonight.
Okay. Good evening. This open meeting of the Town of Auburn Planning Board of Tuesday, May 12th, 2020, now called to order at 7 p.m. This meeting is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the Governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted with agenda materials for this meeting on the town's website, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. For this meeting, the Planning Board is convening by remote participation for the public only, although some members of the Planning Board are physically located in the Selectmen's meeting room in Town Hall. Those members and employees are practicing social distancing in accordance with the Governor's orders. For the public to join the meeting remotely by telephone, call 1-312-757-3121 and enter access code 133-747-477. Or the public can join via computer at gotomeeting.com/join/133-747-477. The remote access information has been posted on the town's website identifying how the public may join. Please note that this meeting is being recorded by Auburn Cable Television. Accordingly, those members of the Planning Board, employees, and members of the public who participate, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you, and please take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All supporting materials that have been provided to members of this body are available on the town's website. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda. We are now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. As chair of the board, I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comments, questions, or motions, and please hold until your name is called. Remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until I yield the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in discussion with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. After members have spoken, I will afford public comment as follows. I will first ask members of the public who wish to speak to identify their names and addresses only. Once I have a list of all public commentators, I will call on each by name and afford 3 minutes for any comments. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by a roll call vote. If technical difficulties arise, I will suspend the meeting while attempts to resolve are being made. We'll keep accurate minutes noting any disconnections and reconnections of members. So I don't see that. Do you see that anybody else has joined us?
No, I haven't. I did speak to Ron this morning, and he said he was going to be here. I haven't heard from anyone else, aside from Scott and John, who weren't able to attend. Make some phone calls, find out where people are. So I was going to give you a couple minutes
We don't
to do
have a
that.
quorum, so there's no, we can't vote on anything.
Yeah, we need 3 people.
How many do you have, Adam?
Well, with you know we have
Oh, Ron,
2.
okay. Ron,
Yes.
so could you just please respond affirmatively that you are, okay, so Ron Brooks and I are the only ones. John Reagan, we know isn't going to be here. Scott Wren is not going to be here. Nick Lynch, Are you here, Nick?
I see his name written down.
I did, I saw it come up.
Nick, can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me, Adam?
Yep.
Okay, there we are. Okay, Nick Lynch, present.
Yep.
Steve Chambers. Right, we've got three. All right, the first item on the agenda is the applicant S&K Development LLC request for a special permit for earth removal under Chapter 12.16 of the Auburn General Bylaw for removal of earth at 373 Oxford Street, North Auburn, Mass, map 40, parcel 69. I've been informed by Adam that they are withdrawing this application, correct, Adam?
Correct. They'd like to withdraw without prejudice.
Withdraw without prejudice. I need a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Ron Brooks makes the motion. Is there a second?
This is Nick. I'll second it.
Nick Lynch seconds it. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Can you do
Aye.
a roll call, please, Wendy?
Okay. Ron Brooks?
Aye.
Nick Lynch?
Aye.
Wendy Steinelfer? Aye. It is a vote.
Thank you.
The applicant, Eastland Partners, requests a site plan approval under section 3.2.2.1 and 5.4 of the Auburn zoning bylaw for a two-family dwelling on property located at 23-25 Albert Street, Auburn, Mass, map 65, parcel 42. Is there someone here for Eastland Partners?
Wendy, I'm sorry to interrupt, but do you have to close S&K Development?
No, they're withdrawing, so we made the motion to withdraw.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, though. And Clayton, are you here for Eastland Partners?
Yep. Hi, Wendy. It's Clay Williams here with Eastland Partners.
Okay. Adam, would you kind of give us a little background on this?
So these, there are four proposals before, four site plans, each for a duplex on Albert Street. One of the lots has, it's going to have a driveway and frontage on Blaker Street. This was part of the ongoing subdivision development that was approved a couple of years ago. There were comments from DPW that were looked at, and we had new plans were sent in by Clay and their engineer, Steve O'Connell. I got Bill Coyle is here with me. He also has, I think, some further comments to add.
You want me
Bill Coyle, did you have anything you wanted to add?
to, through the chair, so 23 and 25 Albert Street, we received the plan on Thursday, and we reviewed it this afternoon. Couple of things I just wanted to touch base on was, they did revise the drainage as requested. They are now focusing the runoff on the southerly corner, which would be the bottom left side of your plan when you look at the drawing. But this runoff is now directed over the access road into the detention pond. So I would request that they provide a pipe under the access road to the detention pond so it doesn't create an issue with water in creating an issue with accessing the detention pond. So that would be one request. I just wanted to note the plans were not stamped by an engineer. I believe they had a stamp from a registered land surveyor, but not an engineer. And also, comment number 5 that we had on the original review, I'm not sure if anybody has the comment letter, relative to the detention ponds on the subdivision as a whole. So, do you have the other plan? The detention ponds were designed and approved through the subdivision process, and over the past year, I would say, they've modified the detention ponds and one of the locations completely. And they prepared an A&R plan about a year ago indicating a drainage easement and pipe to go to this newly created detention pond. So if you can see on your screen, can they see the screen? The ones that are shown in red, I believe, is what was originally approved as part of the subdivision. And there's one that,
Could I just interrupt you for 1 minute? We are not seeing anything on the screen.
All right, let me see why that's happening. Hold on a minute.
Thank you.
okay, can you see that?
Oh, there we are. Thank you. Yes.
Okay, so the detention ponds, through the chair, the detention pond shown in red is what was originally approved as part of the subdivision. And when we were reviewing this site plan, we could see on the corner of the plan that the grading appeared to be different than what was originally approved. And after we looked into it a little further, we realized that they built a detention pond that was not on the approved plan. And so we did have some discussion with Eastland Partners why this happened. And there was an explanation as to why it was constructed. My bigger concern was the fact that it was done without any approval from the planning board and any review and approval of the hydrology calculations and report. So I just wanted to bring that to the board's attention. I believe they responded back saying they will be requesting a modification of the plan, but this is, I think, been in existence for quite a while now. So I'm just a little disappointed that they haven't gone before the planning board. So I just wanted to point that out and perhaps give them an opportunity to respond to that. But in general, on the site plan itself, the main concern that we have outstanding is just the drainage pipe under the access road to the detention pond. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Mr. Brooks, did you have any comments?
I'd just like to see them conform to what Bill just talked about. It's kind of hard to hear perfectly well, but I could pick up most of what he was saying. But I don't have it on any video myself. I can't get it to go on the video, so I couldn't see the detention ponds or what Bill was talking about. But I'd like to see that same that drainage pipe go under the road and whatever else, and I'd like to see him come before the planning board to have the right stamps on the thing and the right changes, and to discuss why they didn't do it prior to.
Thank you. Nick, any comments?
No, I think Roundabout covered it there.
Okay, thanks. Clayton, go ahead. Do you have anything you wanted to add to that?
I'll go ahead and let Steve O'Connell, our engineer with Turning Point, respond.
Okay, great. Thank you. Steve?
So we covered a pretty thorough response in the review comments. But we have every intention of coming back to the board. There's going to be a few minor things associated with the modification request. So it's really just a timing thing. We've, nothing sneaky here. It's just timing, and we expect to have something submitted to the board, in the next, I don't know, week or two, for a comprehensive modification for some minor things, including this basin.
Okay, just please keep in mind that if we don't receive it by Thursday of next week, then it won't be considered to the following, and it would be pushed off another month. So if you could try to make an effort to get that in a timely manner to us so that we can address it at the next meeting, that would be greatly appreciated.
Yep, understood.
Okay. Adam?
Yeah, I think Bill pretty much covered. We also have a request farther down for the lot release on this. It's kind of up to the board how they want to go, whether to approve the site plan with conditions, or to delay approval until we have the revised subdivision. We can always condition the site plan approval to the subdivision modification, requiring them to get those into us before further construction is.
Meeting, mute.
Mr. Brooks,
Guy.
any thoughts on that?
You talk, Ron, this is Ronnie, Wendy, you talking to me?
Yes, I am. Do you have any thoughts on that? They're looking for maybe approval with conditions versus, moving this along, continuing until we get the modification.
I want to continue till we get modifications and whatever else we need and whatever else is supposed to be on the plan.
Mr. Lynch?
I'll second that. I respond to the same.
Okay, so Mr. Brooks has made a motion that we continue the hearing until all of the things that Mr. Foyle has asked for be noted on the plans and they come back before the board for the modifications to the original plan. And Nick Lynch has seconded it. Is there any public comment?
Madam Chair, this is Steve O'Connell.
Steve, okay.
Yes, I'm confused about why the modification is connected to this lot.
Isn't that where the detention pond is? And Mr. Coyle, he wants the pipe put in, the plans aren't stamped, there's several items that aren't, haven't been taken care of.
No, I understand the two items that Mr. Coyle stated, but the discussion from the board members is about the modification coming in.
Yeah, I think everybody here would like to have the I's dotted and the T's crossed before we go releasing any lots or moving forward.
Wendy, can I correct something? When
Sure.
I spoke, I did not make a motion. That was not a motion.
My apologies.
It was just my comments. I think maybe Nick, because I'm getting a lot of background noise here, and like other people that I don't even think are at the meeting seem to be talking on this channel or something like that. But I didn't make that motion. I just.
Oh, okay, my apologies.
Yeah, okay.
So did you want to make a motion, or do we want to?
Everything.
No, I don't want to make a motion.
Well, we have to do one thing or another. We either approve it with conditions, or we continue it until all of the other things are taken care of.
Well, then I'll make a motion to continue it till everything's taken care of.
Is there a second?
This is Nick. I'll second it.
Mr. Brooks has made the motion. Mr. Lynch has seconded it.
We might be right up after this.
Okay. Any comments from the public? Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. You want me to do a roll call, Adam?
Yes, please.
Mr. Brooks?
Aye.
Mr. Lynch?
Aye.
Wendy Steinhuber, aye. It is a vote. So now we need a date. Do you think, Mr. O'Connell, you'll have everything ready at the next meeting in 2 weeks?
Yeah, everything associated with the lot is fine. Just concerned about the time it might take for review of the modification and that holding up the lot site plan review.
Yeah, I understand. Would the 26th, Adam?
Sorry, I didn't catch that, Wendy.
Auburn's way worse. Oh, yeah, they suck.
I'm not being, I can't hear because there's so many people that have their microphones on.
Hold on, Wendy.
Muted.
And then just unmute Wendy. I think
All right, Wendy, you're the only one on. Am I muted too?
Hello?
Yeah, you're on, Wendy.
Unmuted.
Oh, you're on, Wendy.
Okay. So May 26th is the next meeting, so we will entertain a motion to continue to May 26th.
Which one is that for, Wendy?
That's for the 23-25,
All right.
right? So that one's all set?
Yep.
Okay. And so with the next three, 27 to 29 Albert Street, 28 to 30 Albert Street, and 31 to 33 Albert Street, those are the ones we have not seen the updated plans.
You should have those.
You should have those, Wendy. We're going to pull them up on the screen in a moment.
Okay, thank you. I apologize. I thought those were the ones that we talked about, Adam. Okay.
It's on the screen.
Who wanted to take the ball on that one, Clayton or Mr. O'Connell?
I'm on a roll. I'll keep going.
All right, so we're at
Thank you. We
27,
provided
29
revised
Albert
plans.
Street. Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Thank you. We provided revised plans and responses in accordance with Mr. Coyle's comments. As we talked about at the last meeting, the only comment up for debate was the turnarounds for the driveways, but we provided those. So I believe everything should be addressed.
Mr. Coyle, did you want to comment on that?
They have provided a turnaround, and just for clarification, I think in particular now, it looks like they've moved the houses further back to back out of that long driveway and into a cul-de-sac area. I think definitely justifies the turnaround. And more curious as to, it appears as though from the original design, the dwelling has been moved back, if they could just explain why it was moved.
I can't hear Mr. Coyle.
Can you hear me now?
Not really.
Am I muted?
Can Mr. Coyle move up to the
try.
microphone?
Let me try this mic. Can you hear, how about now? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. My comment was the dwellings were moved back, which even more, I think, warrants the need for a turnaround. And also, there's kind of a, it's not a straight shot, so it's kind of, you know, a bend in that driveway. I think it'd be difficult to back out of, in particular in the cul-de-sac area where kids tend to play. So I think the turnarounds were definitely warranted, and I'm glad to see they were added to the plan. And it was more of a question as to why the structure was pushed back. Not that I had any comments regarding that. It was just more questioning what the reasoning was.
Sure, happy to provide a response. The driveway for this lot and this driveway is across from the proposed 40B site entrance. So to avoid potential headlights shining right down on those units, we proposed to kick them a little bit to the back.
Okay, all right, that makes sense. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Are there any other comments on that, Bill?
No further comment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So Adam, do all of these 27, 29 through 31, 33, are all of these involved with the modifications?
I mean, my preference is to get the subdivision modification in as soon as possible. We don't have to have the site plan approvals for these contingent on the subdivision modification. Just want to reiterate that we need the subdivision plans in as soon as possible so we can review them. So no, they don't have to be contingent.
Wendy,
Yes, Mr. Brooks?
I just can't clearly hear Adam. Can you ask him to repeat what he just said, something about the subdivision plans and...
Adam, could you please repeat what you said? I'm not sure where all of this feedback is coming from. We've had 3 beautiful meetings with no problems.
If they're not
And
talking.
suddenly,
If anybody that's not speaking, would you please mute your phones? That would be very beneficial, thank you. What I was stating earlier was the subdivision modification does not need to be, we don't need to have these site plan approvals contingent on a subdivision modification approval. I think the goal is to reiterate that we need to have the subdivision modification in as soon as possible so they can be reviewed and make sure that the stormwater is done appropriately. I think that's the concern. They're not requesting a lot release on these lots at this point. So they'd have to go through that process before they could start building these lots. The only lot they're looking to build at this point is the first one, 23 to 25. So I really don't have a problem moving forward with these as long as we get the subdivision modifications.
Only 23 to 25 may continue.
Yeah, just the 23 to 25 was continued.
okay, so we're looking for a motion to approve
Yes,
on 27, 29?
if that's your pleasure, yes.
Okay. Mr. Brooks, did you have any further questions, comments?
I don't, can you hear me fine, Wendy? Because
Yeah.
I'm not hearing, the only time I heard anything well was when Bill did whatever he did and came up, maybe, whatever, did he come up, is he at the meeting room? Or?
Yeah, the
Yeah, he's
microphone,
sat in
yeah.
the same seat I am.
Oh, okay. That's the only time that was the clearest thing I heard. But when you were talking, Adam, something, I don't know what I have here, but there's somebody talking in the background. It just intermittently comes in, and I don't think it's anybody's voice that I've heard at the meeting. It seems like it's coming from somewhere else. I'm not able to hear well or understand.
Okay, so this second one, they're just looking for, we'll be continuing all of them until we get the upgrade for the site plan, Adam?
I
Could
think,
you just say it so that Ron could hear you?
I think we're okay to approve, for the board, if they would like to approve these site plans, that would be fine. They can't build on these lots until they get a lot release. They're not asking for those at this point in time. They haven't finished putting down the roadway. I think we just want to reiterate that we want to get that subdivision modification in as soon as possible so the changes can be reviewed and made sure that the stormwater is taken care of correctly. So we're okay with, if the planning board decides to approve these 3 lots, 27 and 29, 28 and 30, and 31, 33.
So you're saying, Adam, we need to approve them in order to go further with the whole subdivision?
We don't have a problem with the board approving these. We just want the subdivision modification in as soon as the engineer can bring them in.
Are you good, Mr. Brooks?
Is this I'm just, this just isn't the best way to do this, but I'm not quite sure what you're saying, Adam. Do we normally need something else, or are you just saying we could approve it conditional, or and what would it be conditioned on?
You could just approve them straight out. The 23 and 25, you already continued, and you're looking for the subdivision changes on that one?
The other 3.
So the other
Right, on
three,
the other three.
we're okay with you if you decide to approve that tonight.
The only thing, Adam, I don't know if they can hear me, is they all need to be stamped by an engineer.
All the plans need to be stamped by an engineer, so that would be the condition. Aside from the standard conditions.
Did you hear that, Mr. Brooks?
Yes, I could hear that. I'm just curious why they weren't stamped by an engineer.
Mr. O'Connell, do you want to respond to
We
that?
were here a couple of weeks ago, I believe, and talked about them, either once or twice before, and then now we're here again tonight, 2 weeks later, and they're still not stamped by an engineer.
Yeah, the first set of plans was also stamped by our land surveyor. You know, there's topographic and property line information on here, so the land surveyor stamped them, but we'll get the engineer stamp on there as well.
Great, thank you. Okay, so if we can approve this without, you're not asking for a lot release, so in the meantime, we'll be able to get the additional information, so we can approve it, we can, again, as Adam said, we'll be getting the subdivision modifications, and then when the lot release comes through, we'll review everything, and then when it comes to the lot release, that's when they'll finally be able to start construction. So, looking for a motion to approve.
Wendy,
Yeah?
Wendy, can I ask Bill a question? Bill Coyle?
Sure. Go ahead.
Bill, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
Do you have any reservation about us approving these other 3 lots tonight for any reason?
I think we take one at a time. I think this particular lot, the only condition would be to make sure that the plan is stamped by a professional engineer. We had no further comments on this site, on this lot. And then we can take the other 2.
So on the first of the second 3, you're okay?
Correct. Just needs to be stamped.
And what numbers are those, Wendy?
27 through 29?
Okay, so that's the first of the up-and-coming 3, and we're going to do one at a time. We're going to do one at a time.
That's correct. So we have a motion, we need a motion to approve with the condition that the plans are stamped by an engineer.
Wendy, can you close the public hearing first?
Okay.
Make sure the public doesn't have any
I'll
comments.
make a motion to close.
Ron and Nick, I need a motion to close the hearing, please.
I'll make the close the public hearing.
Is there a second? Okay.
This is Nick, I'll second it.
Nick made the motion, Mr. Lynch has seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor, Mr. Brooks?
Aye.
Mr. Lynch?
Aye.
Mr. Steinhilber, aye. It is a vote to close. Now I need a motion to approve with a condition that the plans are stamped by an engineer. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion, Wendy. This is Nick.
Nick Lynch has made the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Brooks has seconded it. Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Nick Lynch?
Aye.
Ron Brooks?
Aye.
Wendy Steinhilber, aye. It is a vote. Applicant Eastland Partners requests a site plan approval under section 3.2.2.1 and 5.4 of the Auburn zoning bylaw for 2-family dwelling on property located at 28-30 Albert Street, map 65, parcel 70. I'm going to begin with Bill Coyle. Bill, do you have any comments on this lot?
Yes, we have a couple comments on this particular site. One is there was no construction entrance shown on the plans. There's no erosion control shown on the plans. I believe it was shown. I'm not sure why it no longer appears on the plans. Also not stamped by an engineer. And there's also an infiltration basin as part of the 40B project that's not shown on these plans, but looking at the 40B project, this infiltration basin would be about 40 feet from the back of the house. So I just thought that the planning board would probably like to see the location of that basin as it is related to this property. And we also wanted to discuss the sewer connections for this property, and also at number 31 and 33, they have 4 sewer connections going to the sewer main approximately within a distance of maybe 8 to 10 feet. So we wanted to discuss some options on how those sewer connections should be made versus what they're showing.
Okay, so it sounds to me like there's some further things that need to be ironed out on that.
Correct, and I think both of these, again, as Adam mentioned, they need lot releases to do any construction out there. They need to get the first coat of asphalt on the roadway. It looks like they're getting ready to do that, but that hasn't been done yet. So I don't think, obviously holding these to another meeting to address these comments is going to delay anything, because they can't build on these lots until they have a lot release, and they can't get a lot release until the road is paved. So I think they're at least going to another meeting before that can happen.
Wendy?
Yes, Mr. Bryce, go ahead.
We should also, I didn't hear any, we need to have that detention pond, especially being so proximate. They have to be fenced. They have to have the fence around them. Cyclone fence and bushes.
Okay.
Through the chair, in fairness to the developer, that would probably get reviewed as part of the 40B project. I'm just raising it as a concern because the location of this dwelling will be about 40 feet from that detention pond, and just wanted to bring that to your attention. So I think it should be shown on the plan as a proposed detention pond or infiltration basin, just so that it's reflected on the approved plan, and the planning board is fully aware of it.
Thank you, Mr. Coyle. So would it be your recommendation that this one also be continued to the 26th, or should we approve of the conditions?
I would recommend that it be continued, because we have, there's no erosion control shown on the plan, no construction entrance. It's not stamped by an engineer, and we have some concerns with the sewer connections as shown. I think there's too many conditions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Coyle. Mr. Brooks and Mr. Lynch, did you hear everything that Mr. Coyle had to say?
Yes.
Yes. Great. So I think we will take a motion to continue the hearing on 28-30 Albert Street to the May 26th meeting.
This is Nick Lynch. I'll make that motion.
Okay,
Do you want to hear
and,
from the applicant first?
pardon?
Do you want to hear from the applicant first before you make a motion to continue?
Well, sure.
If he has any comments.
Yeah, I would just say
Oh, I'm
that.
sorry, my apologies.
No, not a problem, Madam Chair. I was just going to say we'll happily comply with the comments provided by Mr. Coyle. I can see the labels for the construction entrance and the erosion controls, but for some reason the lines just didn't show up when it got printed. But yeah, he's on point about the lot releases and construction, so we'll just continue.
Okay, thank you. So Mr. Lynch has made the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it, Wendy.
Mr. Brooks has made the second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, Mr. Brooks? Aye. Mr. Lynch?
Aye.
Wendy Steinhuber, aye. Continue to May 26th. Applicant Eastland Partners requests a site plan approval under section 3.2.2.1 and 5.4 of the Auburn zoning bylaw for a two-family dwelling on property located at 31-33 Albert Street, Auburn, Mass., map 65, parcel 68. Again, Mr. Coyle, I'm going to turn it over to you first, and then we'll have further discussion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this site, we only had one comment, and it was relative to the sewer connection and how it relates to the property at 30 and 32, I believe the other site was. So let me just check the numbers. I'm sorry, 28 and 30. That was the only concern that we had. I would prefer to continue it. If it, again, it's not There were no other comments, but I'd rather have all the plans reflect the correct information. So when we modify the sewer connections, rather than approving this with a condition, then we would have a plan that has the wrong information shown. So again, this one doesn't have as many revisions. It's that one revision, but I don't see any reason that we can't continue this one and just reflect the correct sewer connections, and we can work that out with the applicant over the next 2 weeks, and we can have one final plan that the board can approve. But that was the only comment that we had, other than, again, the stamped plan. I don't believe this was stamped either.
Thank you, Mr. Coyle. Mr. O'Connell?
Yeah, that's fine, Madam Chair. Like I said, nothing, comments. We're not going to be held up because of the lot release scenario again, so we'll happily talk to Mr. Coyle offline and get his sewer connection comments, squared away.
Perfect, thank you. All right, so I would entertain a motion to continue this hearing to May 26th.
I'll make
Buddy, I'll second it. This is Nick.
Okay, so Mr. Brooks made the motion, Mr. Lynch seconded. All those in favor, Mr. Brooks?
Aye.
Mr. Lynch?
Aye.
Wendy Steinhuber, aye. Okay, we'll see you on the 26th then, thank you.
Thank you.
Applicant CGT Inc. requesting a special permit and site plan approval on the 3.9.2.2 of the Auburn zoning bylaw for a drive-through coffee shop located at 711 Southwood Street, Auburn, Mass, map 61, parcel 37. They've requested a continuance. Adam, is that going to be the May 26th meeting?
Yes, it will be.
Okay. Could I have a motion to continue that hearing to May 26th, please?
Wendy, this is Nick. I'll make that motion to continue the hearing until May 26th.
Nick Lynch has made the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Brooks is second. All those in favor? Mr. Lynch?
Aye.
Mr. Brooks?
Aye.
Wendy Steinhuber, aye. Continue to May 26th. Adam, did you want to talk about the electronic signatures?
Why don't we go back to SEL Realty, the Hampton Street subdivision?
Oh, my apologies. Yes. I've got such a mess here. SVLL Realty LLC definitive subdivision plan for 13-lot single-family home development on property located at 178 Hampton Street and 19 Eaton Avenue. They've also asked for continuance. Is that correct?
No, they're in attendance.
They're in attendance. Okay.
Yeah. Madam Chairman, it's Donald O'Neill. I'm the lawyer for the applicant on this matter. And seeing how you only have 3 members present, and also we had received the comments back from Graves yesterday, and it's going to take some time to go through those and respond. Then, of course, we would have to get it into you so that you would have an opportunity to review the response. I do think we would be requesting a continuance to, I think, the first meeting in June. I don't think June 26th would really give us enough time, because that would, in effect, would give us a week, and then we'd have to get it into you. So whatever the first meeting in June is, I would ask that we be continued to that date.
All right, that would be June 9th.
Okay, that would be fine, and we'll do our best to make that meeting and get the information back, with enough time for receipt on your end.
Okay, great. So I'll entertain a motion to continue the hearing until June 9th.
Wendy?
Yes?
Wendy, I just
Yeah.
want to ask Adam, although he already sent me some numbers today, I haven't had a chance to look at it, that we're okay with time-wise this, Adam?
Yes, we are, as long as we go and get them to sign continuances, which I'll send on in the morning, we're okay.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion to continue to June 9th.
Wendy, this is Nick. I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Mr. Lynch has made the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it, Wendy.
Mr. Brooks is second. Any further discussion? Mr. Lynch?
No.
Okay.
Aye.
Okay. Aye. Mr. Brooks?
Aye.
Wendy Steinhover, aye. It's a vote. So see you on June 9th.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. So, Adam, did you want to now discuss the electronic signatures?
Yes, I received a memo from the registry about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago or so. Might have been just before the last meeting. With some guidance about the use of electronic signatures. They are allowed in certain cases, just not the A&R Mylars that I had everybody sign a few weeks ago. But in order to use electronic signatures, the board needs to adopt the MGL Chapter 110G, which has a number of requirements and legal language about the use of electronic signatures. I'm hoping if the board decides to use these signatures, that it will be temporary. We can get back to meeting soon, but who really knows? I think the chapter, the MGL chapter is, it doesn't specify what manner of electronic signature. I can read direct from the chapter. An electronic record or electronic signature is attributable to a person if it was the act of the person. The act of the person may be shown in any manner, including a showing of the efficacy of any security procedure applied to determine the person to which electronic record or electronic signature was attributable. So that is kind of roundabout way of saying, I don't know. It's just a way of saying you can use electronic signatures. So if the board would like to vote to adopt MGL Chapter 110G, and I'd suggest you go back to April 28th. There was a decision on that date we can use electronic signatures for. That would be great. It'd be helpful. I'll see you don't have to keep coming into signed decisions.
Well, that would be good, yeah. So we need a motion to adopt MGL Chapter 110G.
Correct.
Wendy, through the chair, I wouldn't mind getting the feedback of the other board members on this, just in the event that there was something that they possibly, had an objection to with more of us here than just the three of us, if that's okay.
Sure. You want to push that off then?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind continuing that until the next meeting when we at least have Scott and John and Steve's opinion on the matter too, just because it's people have different opinions on electronic signatures and that sort of thing. So.
Okay. Adam, does that complicate things? Will we still be able to go back to the April 28th meeting in order to do that, or?
Yeah, I think we can still go back to April 28th. We've been discussing it. There's a couple decisions out there, but they're only site plans. There's no deadlines on them. So we're okay in that sense.
Adam, Wendy, can I ask Adam, what is the significance of April 28th?
There was a decision on that date for a site plan approval. We can use electronic signatures on that decision. That's the only significance.
Oh, all right, okay.
Yeah, just so we don't have to go in and sign things except for, the Mylar. So we're going to table that item then. I think we're all in agreement. Ron, do you agree with Nick that we should table that until we have everyone here?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, we'll table that to the next meeting, Adam.
Okay, that's fine.
Thank you. Now we have meeting minutes from 4:14 and 4:28, which Ray Shilton did a beautiful job on considering the difficulty involved. Do we have a motion for the April 14th minutes?
This is Nick. Wendy, can I still make a motion even though I was not at that meeting?
Oh, no. We're going to have to table that as well to the next meeting.
Okay.
Sorry about that, guys.
No, I'm glad you brought that up, Nick. I didn't remember that you went at the last one, so, okay.
I was at the one right after that, the 27th, just not that one.
Right. Adam, is there anything else that you'd like to discuss this evening? Any updates or?
No, do you want to consider the April 28th meeting? Were you all at that meeting?
I was.
Okay, all right, we'll get to the April 28th. Can we get a motion to approve the April 28th meeting minutes?
I'll make that motion. This is Nick.
Okay, Nick Lynch has made the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second Wendy.
Mr. Brooks has seconded. All those in favor, Mr. Lynch?
Aye.
Mr. Brooks?
Aye.
Ms. Steinhilber, aye. It is a vote. Okay. Adam, anything else?
No, I don't have anything at this time.
All right, well, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
This is Nick. I'll make that motion.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay, great. So Mr. Brooks made the motion. Mr. Lynch has seconded it. All those in favor, Mr. Lynch?
Aye.
Mr. Brooks?
Aye.
Wendy Steinhuber, aye. It is a vote.